are here, now that you are here, you have to have a very clear purpose written down, clear to you. Secondly, you have to ask yourself why, what's my role in getting this done. Now, that my role in getting this done is something that you now further break down into day by day, right? What can I do today in accomplishing my role of getting married or being a wife? Please confirm that you can hear me thus far before I go on.
Yes, I can hear you.
We can hear you.
Great. Now, this part of the conversation, or I titled personal reflection. You must have personal reflection at this point, whether you are 1 week old being married, whether you are 5 years old in married, or 5 years gone into marriage, you are 10 years gone into marriage. If you've not really done this exercise, my advice to you is sit down now and run this exercise by yourself, because there's going to get to a point where you are going to run it with your spouse, with your husband. But right now, run it with yourself. Personal reflection. Sit with yourself. Why did I get married? What is my role in accomplishing the why I got married? If you finish stating out that role, those roles, or the things you ought to do, then you can now assess yourself, self-evaluation. You now ask yourself, have I been performing these roles for which I got married? How well have I been performing it? Now, have I been performing it is a question you can ask yourself. But how well is an answer that most likely your husband will have to give you score rating on. I'll quickly breeze through that. First question, hoping maybe for those that just joined, you ask yourself, why did I decide to get married? Why did I decide to be a wife? What are my responsibilities that I need to carry out to help fulfill the reason why I got married? Whatever your reason is for getting married, state it. Later on, then you can go on and say, I want to modify my reason for getting married. You can modify it so that it becomes better, becomes more accomplishing, no problem. But right now, you need to at least have some form of clarity on the reason why you got married, why you became a wife, because it's going to affect the quality. I was listening to my man of God, and he said something. He said in one of the books, which I'll recommend as we go on, he said that the quality of life that you live on earth is not determined by the quality of your spirit, but is determined by the quality of your mind. You're going to live, or you're living on earth right now, it's not determined by the quality of your spirit, it's determined by the quality of your mind, where your reason and your intellect is. So you need to have your reason and your intellect in a good place for you to have a good quality of life, a good quality of marriage, a good quality of quality parenting. All right. So these personal reflections need to be done. Now, during the personal reflection, apart from these questions that I just asked you, you could reflect on your personal values. What are your personal values? What are your personal goals? What are your personal expectations in marriage? You should have some. I'm not saying have unrealistic ones, because no matter what you put there, you also have to ask yourself the second question, what is my role in accomplishing it? Because you have a big role in accomplishing it. Now, when you are done with this, you now have to share your insights with your husband. Why do you need to share your insight with your husband? You share your insight with your husband so that both of you can now be in synchrony, so that you can weigh it against what his own goals and expectations are, so that you can now have it together in perfect synchrony, so that whatever your goals and expectations are is not in, it does not have variation or deviation from what that of the family is. Now, this point can seem small or small, let me use the word small for lack of a better word. But you see, it makes the difference between having a perfect, wonderful, fun-filled, loving experience in marriage from not having all of this in marriage. Now, bear in mind, even though I put the word perfect, perfect is relative for different people. And I promise you, Whatever marriage you have right now is perfect for the contributions that you have put in. It might sound like a contradictory statement, but it's not. Let me say it again. The marriage experience that you're having right now is the perfect marriage experience based on what you and your spouse have contributed into the union. In other words, what you have right now is a result of what you have put in thus far. If you don't remember anything else I've said up to this point, please remember this, that the summation of what you have right now in terms of your experience and all in marriage at this moment is the totality of what you and your spouse have put in so far. Now, that is not bad news. That is very good news, because it means that if you want it to get better or you want it to get worse, all you need to do is change what you are putting in right now, and you would get the commensurate result. So if you say maybe you wrote on your paper now that, okay, you want to have this kind of marriage, that kind of, let me be more specific. Maybe you want to have a marriage where your husband is caring. Your husband, let's talk in terms of modern day ladies, so they want a romantic, God-fearing husband that cares and can take care of them. No problem. If that is what you want, my question to you would be, have you asked yourself, what do you need to do as a wife that will bring about a God-fearing, romantic, caring, providing husband? Have you found out what you need to do? Or let me even take it one step backwards. Is there something that you need to do that would bring about or bring into manifestation that kind of husband? The answer is yes. Those kind of husbands don't fall from the sky. You bring them into manifestation. Now you can say, Coach, are you for real? Are you saying those things we see on TV is not on the shelf like that? The answer is yes. They are not seated on the shelf like that. You, as a wife, you are responsible for bringing that kind of man into manifestation. And you might go on to ask me, but my sister's husband or my friend's husband is like that. My dear, your sister or your friend brought that kind of husband into manifestation in her life. So now that you are a wife, it is your responsibility to bring that kind of husband into manifestation in your own life. Now, if in your heart you have the question, how? Thank you for asking the question. Hence the reason why we are all gathered here. How? How do you bring such a husband into manifestation? Before I go to answering that, I would first of all ask you, do you have that kind of husband right now? Why do you think, if you don't, why do you think you don't have that kind of husband? If you do, why do you think you have that kind of husband? Because you made it happen. You made it manifest. I'll dive a little out of this and say, you will find a guy, right? And there are two ladies around this guy. To Lady A, the guy is uptight. He is selfish. No, not let me use what. Let's use the popular phrase. He is some people say Aradat hand. I'm not sure how to explain that better now. He is not giving.
He is Akagom, right? Coach. Akagom.
Okay, good. I wasn't sure if he's Akagom. He's uptight. He's not friendly. He's not jovial. He's not all that. The same guy, let's call this guy John. This same John, to another girl, he is the most caring. He's the most kind. He's always giving. He's always attentive. He's always that. The same guy. Now you would ask your question, why and how is that possible? That this same guy, when you get the testimony of this guy from two ladies, you get two different testimonies. Is the guy pretending? No, he's not. Don't forget that as he is, so are we. God is to you whatever you want him to be. You are the one to determine what God will be to you. The same way, you are the one to determine what your husband will be to you. The meanest guy in the world can be the most loving guy to you as a person, in spite of how he is to the world. Because you go and find out, even killers have families. They have wives that they will die for, but they are killers. The thug on the street, that thug, that Agbero on the street, have a wife and kids at home that he takes care of, for who are the reason why he's on the street, acting like a madman, obtaining everybody, only for him to take all those loot that he's obtained, goes home and gives it to this family of his. So to the world, he is a thug. To the family, he's a loving, providing father. The same person. How come? The how come is what I am here to explain to you. That the quality of marriage that you are going to experience is directly your responsibility. The question is, how important is this venture to you? Is it even important to you? Or is it that, oh, look with the rough arm, you just took it as one of those things you do when you're that age, so anyhow it comes? Or do you really want to have an experience to write about? This kind of experience where it will look like a fiction movie, a fictional novel. Is that what you want to have? If the answer is yes, then I have good news for you. The good news is you can make it happen. In spite of wherever the level you are at right now, you can make it happen. How do you make it happen? That's what I explained the first time. You have to write down your purpose of getting married, your purpose of being a wife, the role you are willing to play in accomplishing this purpose. Then, what is your value? What are your values? What are your goals? What are your expectations? When you finish writing it down, you now have clearly what your roles are. If you're not sure what your roles are after you have written your purpose, you can always reach out to me. You can always reach out to us and say, oh, this is my reason this is what I've been able to write out as my purpose of getting married, of being a wife. But I'm not sure what my roles should be with regards getting this into fruition, into manifestation. So I'm going to take something general, and as we go on, if you ask me more questions, we can personalize it. Let's just assume that for this class, we want to look at you creating a loving, a peaceful, a godly husband with clear visions and goals that takes care of you. If I missed out any good parts that you like for me to add, please, you can put it as a chat or you can just unmute your mic and tell me, all right, if I missed out anything. But I think this kind of summarizes it. So you want a loving, caring, providing, God-fearing, visionary husband, right? Now, if this is what you want, how do you make this manifest? First thing that you do is these things that I've just said, write it down. Say to yourself, I want to have, even if you're already married, even if your husband is nothing close to this, no problem. Write it down clearly. I want to have a husband that is loving, a husband that is caring, a husband that is providing, a husband that is God-fearing and is a visionary. You write it down. Rule a line on the end of it. On the other side, you ask yourself, okay, so what do I need to do to manifest this kind of husband? Good news is you have written the first thing that you need to do. You've done the first thing that you need to do, which is clarity of what you want. You've written it down. Now, what you need to do is the next stage. First, in spite of how your husband has been all the way till this time, if he's nothing like what you have just written, whatever he's done, whatever he's been, blah, 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 Control Shift Delete, which means wipe it clean from your head. from this moment forward. Wipe it clean from your head from this moment forward. Once you have done that, I hope you are taking short nuggets as I'm saying this. Or I'm sure our host will send the audio for you to listen again. All right. So either way, please take this seriously. You've written the kind of husband you want to have. If you notice, I've not said father, because right now we're dealing with you as a wife and your spouse as a husband. So you write out clearly the kind of, knowing what you know now, write out clearly the kind of husband you want to have. And please don't think this, whatever you write is too good for you. No, it's not. As you are willing to do the next set of things that I tell you, whatever you write right now about your husband is not too good for you. It's exactly right for you. It's something that you deserve because you're a child of God. All right. So the next I say, whatever he's done to you up until this point, shift, control, delete it, which means forgive him, let it go, let it pass. Don't make reference to it anymore. It has been made new. Now, the next thing that you do is to ask the Lord, because scripture says, if you surrender all to the Lord, then he will make manifest your dreams. So you would now surrender your husband as he is right now. And you literally tell the Lord, Father, I surrender my husband to you. I give him to you. I give myself to you. So you're surrendering yourself to the Lord. You're surrendering your husband to the Lord. Then you tell the Lord to give you the strength, the vision, the encouragement, to become the kind of husband, the kind of wife that is deserving of this kind of husband.
You touch my phone again.
Can I go on, please?
Yes, coach. Yes, you can.
All right then. So I said you will tell the Lord to help you, to energize you, to empower you to become the kind of wife that is deserving of the kind of husband that you have written. And that he grants you, the way he granted to Solomon, the wisdom to manifest this kind of husband in the marriage that you have right now. Now, this to me is one of the most important things that any wife should do at the beginning of their marriage or at any point in their marriage where this information reaches them. You have written clearly the kind of husband you want to have. Now you turn to the Lord and say to the Lord, I surrender myself to you, I surrender my husband to you, and I pray that you give me the wisdom and everything that I need and require to be the kind of wife that deserves and should have this kind of husband. So you open yourself now to the Word and to the Spirit of God to lead you and to guide you in becoming the kind of wife that deserves this kind of husband. Now, the reason why I'm echoing this is this: God is not unjust. God would not give that kind of husband to a wife that does not deserve it. That will make him unjust. So he's not going to do it unless the wife becomes the kind of wife that deserves this kind of husband. So you see the reason why this prayer is very important. And you have to the Lord and be this way to him. Tell him, I've surrendered myself to you. Because that's the only way you can resist the devil and he flees. So you surrender yourself unto the Lord and resist the devil and he will flee. So you cannot resist the devil in your family. You cannot resist the devil in the marriage. You cannot do that unless you surrender yourself to the Lord. Until you do that, you'll be carrying the load all by yourself. And the Lord Jesus said to us that his own load is light. He says, give me all your own load. Let me give you mine. Because mine is light. Yours is heavy. I can help you carry yours so that you can take mine. His own comes with happiness, with joy, with love, with all that. So he is inviting you to take up his own while he carries yours for you. But you have to willingly surrender yours to him. He's a gentleman. He's not going to take it from your hand. He's not going to force it off you. No matter how you complain and cry, he would not take it off you unless you willingly surrender it to him. So you see where clarity of purpose comes. You have to be clear the kind of husband you want to have. Clearly. Then you surrender yourself, your husband, your will, all to him, and ask for the wisdom and the strength and everything required to be the kind of wife you should be that deserves this kind of husband. Then, just to add this as like a snack on it, I hope you catch that. Moving forward, you have to flee. As a matter of fact, this is really vital. You have to flee, intentionally flee from any and every thing that suggests any contrariness or